Olá pessoal, sejam muito bem-vindos a mais um vídeo do canal Black Faca. Aqui quem vos fala é Rinaldo Laurentino e estamos aqui nesse novo formato de vídeo, né, para poder conversar com o Ben Peal, que vem aqui para o Brasil, né? Isso aí, João.
Isso aí, João Rogério Barão, que eu aqui lembrando, né? Vocês já conhecem. A gente aqui está hoje com essa fera aqui, Ben Peal, com a gente.
So Ben, tell us something, introduce yourself.
So, hi, I'm Ben Peal. I'm the product director of Black Chantry Productions, lead designer for Vtes, and three-time North American champion.
Oh. Então nós fizemos algumas perguntas aqui, elaboramos algumas perguntas para o Ben e vamos fazer para ele, né? As perguntas já estão com ele ali no script, então as perguntas eu vou fazer em português, ele tem ali, né, em inglês e vai poder responder, tá certo? Vou começar aqui com a primeira. Como foi jogar o Campeonato Sul-Americano, né? E se você sentiu alguma diferença entre o metagame do Brasil, né, com o da região que você joga?
The games are very, very fun and very, very friendly. The deck styles that I saw were similar to what I see in North America and in Europe. I think the global participation by the Brazilian community on Lackey contributes to that a lot. I think there's a lot of information transfer that happens when people get online. Brazil is just as connected as everybody else in terms of learning about decks, learning about play styles, and I think that you see that in the South American Championship. It's just as competitive, very high caliber of play, and again, very fun, very friendly, very relaxed. I mean, very boisterous, but very relaxed. Despite being boisterous, yeah, that was really good. As for how it compares to where I'm from, again, very similar. Although the casual games, like the pickup games, you'll definitely see a lot more combat in here in Brazil. But when it comes to playing competitively, like it gets down to brass tacks, as we say. You're going to pick the best decks. The decks that you think have the best chance, and that won't always be combat.
Thank you. Muito legal, né, galera? E a observação do Ben Peal, muito interessante. Próxima pergunta aqui, quem vai fazer o Joab, né? Tá aqui com a gente, vai lá, Joab, faz aí.
Você sai do Brasil com alguma ideia de carta específica para a região que você visitou?
So in my time here, I've paid a lot of attention to the neighborhoods that I'm in, the places that I visit, the people that I meet, and just the things I see. A lot of people watching, and a lot of just looking around neighborhoods and just getting an idea of the sense and the vibe of the Brazilian scene. And I definitely do have a bunch of ideas coming up. Some will be about the Brazilian metal scene. There was a rock pub that we went to and saw some bands there. Pretty good chance you'll see a card about that. I was also struck by the motorcycles everywhere, and just how just ubiquitous and just zooming around. And I'm going to try and do something for that as well. A lot of construction companies and construction shops. I think there's a Nosferatu angle there with the Nosferatu. Controlling how things get built and to protect their havens. And then I did visit a good number of cachaça distilleries. I think it's a good place to have a haven because
you enjoy it so much.
I enjoy it so much, but also like the barrels get no light, so it's a good place to hide in when the sun is out. So it might be a fun haven. So things like that. That's what I'm trying to represent.
Você pretende trazer mais vampiros dos grupos antigos para o V5, a Black Chantry?
So when it comes to designing for V5, we have to use the V5 material, and that means any book or other product, like a video game or a role-playing game or comic book or what have you, anything from Beckett's Jihad Diary and forward. So if you look at the timeline, it's right after V20, Gehenna and V20 is the book. Beckett's Jihad Diary is like the transition point between Gehenna and 5th edition. So any characters in the source material from that point and forward, we can use in Vtes. Otherwise, we should be designing new cards, new characters, and new ideas. So any older characters, that's largely up to Paradox to decide, because they're still working behind the scenes on bringing those old characters back as well. So sometimes you will see them come back. Lucida will be eventually coming back. She's in the most recent Sabat book, and we will have plans for a Lucida card at some point. So it's things like that. So we can't just go back into Group 1 and Group 2 and grab whatever we want and bring it forward. We have to make sure it's in the source material first. And examples of that would be Gilbert Duane, the Prince of Miami, Group 1, is now Baron of Miami as of 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade. Similar with Donal O'Connor, who was in Dark Sovereigns. He was brought forth into 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade. So that's why you see those characters in Vtes.
O Vtes passou tempo sem impressões oficiais. Nesse período, você continuou jogando? Você pensou que o jogo iria acabar de fato?
So after CCP canceled the game, it would have been about 13, 14 years ago, maybe 15. I did continue to play Vtes, and we were very active still at the Origins Game Fair for the North American Championship, as well as trying to maintain tournaments locally in the Boston area, but also nationally in the United States. And you saw that in Europe as well. I also continued to travel for tournaments. When I lived in Germany and Hungary, I was participating in tournaments there. I was also part of the Viken design team to help create PDF sets for Vtes, like fan-made sets with volunteer card designs and volunteer artwork. So all of the Dance Macabre set, the Anarchs Unbound, and the Unaligned, those were all fan created and on PDF only, and it was an attempt to keep the game going, making sure that there was something new for the players to play with, and also try to present to any potential producer of Vtes, any company that wanted to publish, they could see that we had an active design group that was capable of designing the game, and that we had also, very importantly, that we had a lot of artists who wanted to do work for the game as well. So that artist part is very critical, because how expensive the artwork can be. And as for whether I thought the game was truly going to end, there was a point where I did think that. I know of 4 different companies that tried to or inquired about publishing Vtes. 3 I knew of directly, and 1 I found out about secondhand. And that whole process spanned about, I'd say 3 or 4 years, maybe another 1 each year, roughly. And all 4 of those backed out for their own valid reasons. They had their own reasons for doing so, and I understand why in each case. And after that 4th one, I thought, all right, maybe that's it. Maybe we're not going to see Vtes back in print again. And then the Berlin Conclave event happened. The big LARP event happened in Berlin, and they wanted they reached out to the Viken to have the European Championships there. And we seemed like a great idea, because Paradox had just acquired the World of Darkness. It'd be a great opportunity to get Vtes in front of the company that owns the rights to it. Here it is, right in front of you. You can see the passion. You can see 100 or more people here to play this. And the problem was that they wanted to charge it was €150 or something per person for the event, and we were normally accustomed to paying about €50 per person. And we're trying to think what could we do to sweeten the deal for the players. And we asked hey, do you think we could make some cards, just a handful of cards for the tournament? And to our surprise, they said yes. And so the Pandora's box was open at that point, and we scrambled like heck to get everything done, not just on time, but ahead of time, show we really can do this. And we got it all done ahead of time. And at that point, Paradox reached out to us and said, "Hey, would you like to publish the game?" And then we scrambled to incorporate and worked on getting the license deal in place.
Muito legal, cara. Muito interessante, hein, galera? Eu tinha muita curiosidade sobre esse tema e o Ben Peal aí, em primeira mão, né, cara, falando, muito legal. Vi que você participou da produção da expansão Here's to the Blood, na época que a White Wolf era a empresa responsável pelo jogo. Há alguma diferença no processo de produção daquela época para agora?
So with the pre-constructed decks that I designed for Heirs to the Blood, I was reached out to by Oscar Garza and L. Scott Johnson to create those. And very different design parameters for these. They wanted very specifically dual clan decks, so Samdi and Nosferatu and Kiasit and La Sombra and so on. And the instructions were I was not to design new cards. That was all LSJ's domain. Like, he was the designer of the game. He was going to design new cards. I was just given the keys to the candy store and said and told, use whatever cards you want to build these decks. So I was able to pick and choose cards that I wanted. I have some regrets on given that the game was canceled immediately after Heirs to the Blood. Had I known, there were some cards I would have reprinted in the Heirs to the Blood decks. Yeah, it was pick and choose the cards you want, create some deck lists using the cards that LSJ and created and existing cards and go from there.
Entendi.
Qual o seu estilo de jogo preferido no Vtes e por quê?
Aggression. Create opportunities for yourself. Don't wait around. You're on a clock. You've got 2 hours. There's no sense in wasting time. There's no sense in stalling or delaying. That usually will cause you more problems than win you games. And yeah, create opportunities for yourself and play aggressively.
Aggressively. Atualmente os anarquistas estão com um metagame muito forte. Muitos jogadores, ao menos aqui, né, eles falam que o jogo ficou desbalanceado. Mas gostaria de saber se em breve esse poder, né, dos anarquistas será mais controlado.
Yeah, we get asked this a lot. And we do pay attention to it. We're aware of the players' concerns about the current power level of the Anarchs. As for what to do about it, I don't want to rush into a decision with them. Sometimes it's because it's the new hotness and everybody's playing this, so of course it looks like it's very strong. Anarchs have been out for a while now, so it's, I think, no longer a new hotness situation. But we can, generally there are 3 options. Like, you can ban a card, which we really don't want to do. We can issue errata to a card, but I'm hesitant to do that in this case because I'd rather see the metagame play out for a while before we make a decision. It helps collect more information. And the third option, and I think this is primarily what we're going to do in this case, is design new cards that may address that. You'll see some cards in Oblivion, in the La Sombra and the Hecata, that, our hope is that in the metagame, it makes things more difficult for the Anarchs. So if that succeeds, I think that is the ideal path rather than, banning cards or issuing errata for cards.
Muito bom. Então, para quem não gosta dos Anarchs aí, ó, temos esperança, né, pessoal?
Você veio do RPG de Vampiro à Máscara. Como foi seu contato com o Vtes e por que você se apaixonou pelo jogo?
Amazingly, I've only played the role-playing game once, and that was like a one-shot back in college.
Caramba.
But my main path to Vtes was through Magic the Gathering. The same designer, Richard Garfield, and I had a whole bunch of college buddies who I would play Magic the Gathering with every day. After school or after work, we just get together, hang out, and sling cards and have a good time. And about a year later, Vtes was launched, and we said, "Oh, seems like anything to try." And we had a lot of fun with it, and I really enjoyed it. I think the multiplayer dynamic was a big thing for me. I also really like the way you draw a card after you play a card. I really enjoy that mechanic. So you always have something in your hand that you can do something with. And I like the using your life to bring things into play. So there's a balance there, and just the overall dynamic I found very engaging. But at the time, didn't have a lot of money. He was still in college, and Magic was still the primary game that we were playing. But then I moved to was in school in Pittsburgh, and then went back home to Boston for the first job. And from there, I found a local play group that was playing Vtes at a shop called Your Move Games, and a guy named David Zopf, who was the head of that group. And so I got to meet a whole lot of people that way, and that's really where my Vtes career took off. Like I had the introduction back in college, but in terms of playing regularly and starting to get interested in the tournament scene, that really started when I moved back to Boston with David Zopf's group at Your Move Games.
Então, pessoal, essas foram as perguntas, né? Agradecer muito ao Ben Peal aqui que se dispôs a vir aqui no Blood Faca, né? Pra gente poder conversar, bater esse papo. E muitas perguntas aqui, né, ajudaram a esclarecer muita coisa. There's one last question, isn't in the text, but no. It's simple, like what is your favorite card, Vessel or Blood Doll?
Blood Doll.
A friend asked for you this question.
The math is obvious to me. You always want Blood Doll instead of Vessel.
Thank you. Então, Joab, dá isso.
Nada a declarar. Muito obrigado, Ben. Sempre prazer recebê-lo.
Thank you, Ben. Have some final words or...
Thanks for having me. It's really fun having this conversation, and really just keep playing Vtes. I really have a lot of gratitude to the community for showing up in large numbers again for Vtes. It's very, very encouraging to see, and I really thank you all for that.
Obrigado, pessoal, por assistir o vídeo. Deixem o like, curtem e compartilhem aí, né? Um vídeo muito especial. Deixamos registrados aqui a presença do Ben Peal aqui no Brasil e no Blood Faca, né? Então, valeu e até o próximo vídeo.
Valeu!